I will never forgive the state of Israel nor the United States of America for allowing a dude from Philadelphia to run the country.
He is from Philly.
That's like, that was just a permanent L. There's a lot of news to cover, okay? First and foremost, Israel, U.S., Netanyahu vows to reject any U.S. sanctions on the Israeli army, which is crazy because we just found out over the course of this past week according to Intercept reporting, that the United States is currently sitting on a pile of their own internal investigations conducted on the Israeli military and the mass that have occurred and like the atrocities that have occurred that they have just not done anything about. Okay. So obviously once that came out, you know, there has been a little bit more pressure on the American government to do something about it. And it is wild. It is wild that like, and this is before October 7, by the way, this is before October 7. Before October 7, I'm talking, no, not the mass graves. We'll talk about the mass graves in a second. No, what I'm referencing is something totally different, chat. I know Israel does a lot of fucked up shit. So it's weird that you think that like, okay, hold on. Here. I'll show you. The United States government has been sitting on, according to the Intercept, where is it? Let me see if I can find it. According to the Intercept, and maybe chat can, there's mass graves as well. We'll talk about the mass graves in a second. There's mass graves that they're finding now around all of the hospitals, which we of course will cover and talk about. Okay. But beyond that, the Intercept last week covered something very important about Israel-Palestine. A couple different breaking news occurred. A couple different instances where the Intercept actually leaked some pretty phenomenal stuff. One of them was that Anthony Blinken, it was ProPublica. It wasn't Intercept. That's why I couldn't find it. No, Intercept wrote about it as well. Blinken is sitting on staff recommendations to sanction Israeli military units linked to killings or You're right. It was ProPublica. So here's what happened. A special State Department panel told Secretary of State Anthony Blinken that the U.S. should restrict arms sales to Israeli military units that have been credibly accused of human rights abuses. He has not taken any action. This wasn't post-October 7, chat. Some of these reports are from before October 7. Just understand
this
something.
Week, ProPublica broke the news that Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has been sitting on recommendations from his own experts since December that some Israeli military units should stop receiving U.S. aid because of the alleged human rights abuses they've committed. Brett Murphy is the reporter who broke the story.
Is ProPublica trustworthy? ProPublica is literally the best investigative reporting outlet on the planet, dude. What do you mean is it trustworthy? ProPublica is the final bastion of investigative reporting. Oh my God. It's not even like Democracy Now! I love Democracy Now! That's kind of ironically why I call them ProPublica, because that's what my girl Amy Goodman calls them. So that's why I say ProPublica as well, because she's my goat and she knows everything better than I do. She does everything better than I do. No, ProPublica is across the board probably the most valid outlet, the most consistent, the most important outlet for investigative reporting. That's crazy that there are people in this community that don't know. Oh my Lord. Yeah, they are like a mainstream operation. They are, I would say, more mainstream than Democracy Now! Is, certainly. These are the guys that Democracy Now! Utilizes when they are doing coverage. Anyway, so yeah, they're huge. They're massive. They're very important. I would say they are kind of like Associated Press or Reuters if Associated Press and Reuters actually did contentious investigative reporting.
For ProPublica. Brett, can you tell me what kinds of abuses these Israeli units are accused of committing?
So we don't know exactly which units ultimately went up to Secretary Blinken, but we know that the Leahy Forum was reviewing allegations of extrajudicial killings. So these are cases in which somebody might have been unarmed or not posing a threat, but they were still killed by security forces. There were allegations of people who have been raped in the custody of security officials. There was one case of a 15-year-old who was accused of throwing rocks and Molotov cocktails. He was arrested, jailed, and he said that he had been beaten, tortured, and raped while in custody. These were mostly cases that were in the West Bank.
And The Guardian previously reported that the State Department was reviewing several of the incidents, but had not imposed sanctions because the U.S. treats Israel with unusual deference other countries are not afforded. So how does that work in practice?
So you guys understand that, like, the instances that they are reporting predate October 7. Like, the violations are even before October 7, but as we understand, the investigations go all the way back to December, but like a lot of the violations are even way before then. Okay? This is the exact same lack of interest in taking action against the Israeli government for very obvious war crimes that they are regularly committing before October 7, after October 7, all the goddamn time, with America's go-ahead, with America's permission, with America's very clear interest in never giving them an ounce of retribution or accountability, and also taking it one step further, directly hiding the truth. This is precisely the reason why, if you remember on Christian Amanpour's broadcast, there was a State Department official that brought up one of these war crimes being committed, sexual assaults being committed in the West Bank to the Palestinians that were under military rule, under military detainment, unjustifiably, which the Israeli government reacted to by declaring the Adamir, the Palestinian prisoner human rights organization, a terror cell and seizing their computers. When we find out here in the United States of America that there are clear-cut cases, clear-cut war crimes happening in Israel that Israel is doing, we literally either sit on it, we investigate it, we find it out, and we hide the truth.
So most other countries, there is no special forum that meets quarterly to review individual allegations. The case of Israel is very unique because what happens is this forum meets, they discuss the allegations, they send what's called a request for information to the Israeli government, and they have something like 90 days to provide the forum with more information. Then they have to talk about it, and if they agree, the forum agrees that it should be elevated up, goes to another layer. That's when the diplomats and the bureau chiefs give sign off, and then it has to get elevated above that layer, usually to the deputy secretary or the secretary himself for final approval. Those are all steps that most other countries don't have to go through during a Leahy vetting process.
For more on this breaking story,
Someone in the chat said, wait, was Israel doing what they claimed Hamas was doing? Brother, there is no better way to understand exactly what Israel does to the Palestinian population than hearing what they have to say about what Hamas is doing to them. Okay? It's perfect projection, like literally directly mirrored, okay, across the board. Yeah. Israeli interrogator sexually assaults Palestinian child detainee. That was February 10, 2021. So anyway, why did I start off with this? Well, perhaps this article and the pressure that it's building is part of the reason why there's, I guess, like some conversations happening in the State Department about potentially sanctioning certain military units. Media only report bad things about Israel. Bro, Israel only does bad things. And also, secondly, top of the hour. Oh, f you. God damn it. I take one day off. And immediately I'm cooked on my first top of the hour ad break debate. Literally the first one of the day, bro. And it's a lazy one too. And it was in a way, actually, you know what? It was creative. Why was it creative? Do you know? Because he wrote it in a way, in the exact same way that like an Israeli ultra Zionist chatter would write it. That's why I clicked on it, because he wrote it in the simplest ways possible. He basically said media only report when Israel bad or something, which is exactly what like ultra Zionist Israelis write in the chat all the time. It was very, very convincing. Thank you, 34 MKD 50 with the 50 big ones. God damn it. It was no nonsense, all killer, no filler. I have to hand it to him. Absolutely. Absolutely, I'm handing it to him. You should hand yourself a gifted subscription for others or for yourself by subscribing for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account if you no longer want to see those ads at the top of the hour. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Elent News says, Reuters, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken on Monday said that the United States is looking into allegations of human rights abuses by Israel in its operations against Hamas in Gaza. Israel hypocritically describes this the way capitalists describe socialism? Yes. Anytime you ask a capitalist what's wrong with capitalism, they always point out capitalist things and then say it's socialism. It's the same exact hypocrisy that is trapped within the reactionary mindset. When you ask Israelis like what Hamas is doing, it's just everything Israel has done to the Palestinians all the time in perpetuity. And it's good actually when Israel does it.
Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to reject any sanctions on Israel's military after reports that the U.S. plans to cut aid to one unit.
Bro, it's time to cut the teat. Why the is the American government talking about like billions of dollars going to Israel today, which is slated to pass in the Senate as well, okay? When at the same time, one unit, dude, one unit, and Benjamin Netanyahu is like, no, actually no. Dude, there has never been a better time to be an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist. Like, obviously, we know what the real reason is. It's like America's interest in the region, obviously, is the most important part of this. And also, like, the personal ultra-Zionist sensibilities of the likes of Joe Brandon and whatnot in an election year. But, like, there's never been a better time to be an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist because you're like, look, see? Benjamin Netanyahu is just controlling the American government. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous, dude. Like, what do you mean you're refusing sanctions? The amount, the level of cucked we are as the American government to whatever the not just Israel wants, but just whatever the Benjamin Netanyahu personally wants is so crazy. He is very close in both attitude and the way he operates, and also with his like obvious corruption and being a far-right dipshit to Donald Trump. He gets to extend his political career and therefore avoid prison. And he gets to do it in broad daylight using the American government as his cum rag. Okay? Unimaginable stuff that he could just literally be like, guess what, dude? I do whatever the fuck I want, and you have to do it. You have to follow through. We need more political courage. This is incredible. Someone needs to put an end to this shit. Okay? It's ridiculous. Because it's not just like, this isn't even about Israel's right to defend itself or anything. I mean, it obviously never was, but you can't even make that argument any longer. It's just Benjamin Netanyahu using the apartheid regime and his genocidal ambition as his own mechanism for avoiding like any kind of criminal liability whatsoever. It blows my mind. Aid to Israel has heavy bipartisan support. No aid for Israel equals massive bubble. No, there's definitely a lot of support to give aid to Israel because, and even if there wasn't, it wouldn't matter because there's always bipartisanship that can be found when we talk about weapons contracts anyway. I'm just saying, it's like ridiculous that this is even a thing.
Amid ongoing violence in the occupied West Bank, the U.S. has vowed to respond to apparent human rights violations against Palestinians. 15 children are among the dead after an Israeli airstrike on the city of Rafah in southern Gaza on Sunday, where more than 1 million displaced Palestinians are sheltering. The health ministry in Gaza, which is run by Hamas, says more than 30,000 people have died since the start of the war in October. As Fergal Keane now reports, while the world worried about a wider war between Israel and Iran, in Gaza, the suffering continued.
The eyes of the world were on a bigger drama, played out in the skies above Israel. But in Gaza, nothing changed.
There's a TOS here, I think.
This was Rafah today after 15 children from the Abed al-Al family were killed in an airstrike.
Show me one man among them. They're all children and women. As you can see, my identity is completely erased with the deaths of my wife and children.
A pregnant woman, Sabrin al-Sakin, was among the dead. Her baby daughter was saved in an emergency operation. A child born to a mother she will never know. There is the story of everyday death, and the story of what follows for the families caught in the shadows of death. Nawara al-Najjar's husband...
How can anyone see this and think Israel's in the right? Well, that's the trick. Nobody sees this, okay? Only like you guys see this here at this broadcast. Kids on TikTok see it every now and then. Nobody over the age of 35 ever sees this. This is like special coverage from the BBC every now and then. Some Americans do see it accidentally. They don't see it with the same frequency that you see it. The narrative is completely the narrative is completely captured, and it capitulates to Israel's most bloodthirsty demands overall. I mean, I'll take I guess the narrative dubs wherever I can. But right now, the much more pressing issue in the minds of Americans, in the minds of the Western world, but certainly in the minds of Americans, is what the f***'s going on at Columbia University. Now, that's actually somewhat of a good thing as well, because the Columbia students are doing the right thing, protesting against this exact same thing. They see it, and they say enough is enough, and they demand divestment, right? So at least there is that. That is like one aspect of this that's objectively good. The problem, however, is that the conversation will shift over to a random sign at a protest or agent provocateurs that go in there and say some anti-Semitic shit, and not the overarching need for why that protest exists to begin with, why there is a protest to begin with. And then we will have the back and forth over and over again. It's not the 15 children that were killed in one singular Israeli airstrike in Gaza. It's actually people feeling unsafe in the streets of New York. What a laughable state of affairs. And it is always the exact same meta. And they run it over and over and over and over again. They use it and abuse it and exhaust it. Meanwhile, power players like Benjamin Netanyahu turn around and say, yeah, suck my dick with these sanctions. I don't give a f. And yes, the absolute worst professor of all time, this dumb Shai Davide, we're going to be talking about that piece of shit, okay? I can't wait. I can't wait to rip him a new asshole, okay? Okay, what's up? What are you doing? You want to come over right now? I mean, if you want, I'm talking about Israel Palestine. You can hop in if you want. What, oh, bro? How are you so brilliant? And no. Pull those two little nubs. Yep, there you go. That's literally a child lock, bro. That's crazy to me. All right, Alex LolOverruled in the building, everybody. Happy Passover, by the way. That's a sick ass jacket. Here you go. Here. It's from the same guy that you got me my jacket from, right? Or no?
No, it's just somebody else.
Oh, damn, dude. You are dripped out the wazoo.
Yes. Thank you.
Alex LolOverruled is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. He is officially here after crying about how much he was imposing on me for like
What are you talking about?
a month.
Those are private conversations.
I blasted your ass very publicly on this chat. You're like,
About
am I
what?
imposing? I don't know.
I'm trying not to be rude, actually.
Oh,
You know,
I'm
there's
being
a
rude. I'm like, shut up, bitch. You can
there's a
stay here for
very
as long as you want.
thin line between guest and pest.
Okay, well, I also exposed you for actually taking showers because you're a fake anarchist.
I'm unemployed.
That actually, you know what? That is true. That is like some real anarchist shit.
It's
What'd
beginning.
you get me? What happened here?
Okay, wait. I brought you some stuff.
Okay, so Alex brought me some gifts. We will return to my angry rant about Benjamin Netanyahu in a second. Are we going back to the news? Yes, chatter. Shut the fuck up. This is news. Like, what do you mean?
Sorry, chat. My bad. I derailed it. It's my fault.
Yeah, this is selfish, dude. Okay.
Wait, I know Talia though. Talia would come on.
Yeah, potentially. Hold on. Let's before we get to the anti-Semitic protest, Talia is on site right now. Yeah, okay, we should link up with Talia. But before we talk about the anti-Semitic protests on campus, let me finish my coverage on Netanyahu vowing to reject any U.S. sanctions on the Israeli army after obviously ProPublica reporting that came out specifically on how Anthony Blinken was sitting on the board of the state, like a group within the State Department that was investigating Israel's military war crimes that date all the way back to 2021 and whatnot, raping Palestinian children in prisons and things of that nature. And that report came out. And then also on top of that, because of Israel's genocidal actions in the Gaza Strip and how glaringly obvious those genocidal actions are, the American government made a brief note that they might sanction one Israeli military unit. And Netanyahu said, no, you're not. I actually will reject it. And it's like, I don't know. Like, Netanyahu could literally whip his cock out and slam it on the table in the White House, and Brandon would be like, I'll suck it, please. Like, let me
Why
me
you
go.
gotta go there?
What? Because it's so frustrating how cucked we are.
That's your first thought.
It's just LBJ style, I'm saying.
Oh, the treatment, the Johnson treatment.
The LBJ treatment, but this time it's Netanyahu. I will never forgive the state of Israel nor the United States of America for allowing a dude from Philadelphia to run the country.
He is from Philly.
That's like, that was just a permanent L. It's obviously not as big as an L as like having an apartheid state and doing genocide, but it's still pretty bad. What were you expecting? Anyway, let's continue.
Abdul Rahman was one of more than 70 civilians killed in an Israeli raid to rescue hostages in February. These were the couple's children.
This Lolo guy's kind of f***ed up. He made me become a public defender. Then he immediately quit after shaking my head.
I'm just taking a break. I did it for 4 years, guys. Give me a break.
He's lame, bro. I know.
Needed a break. I was gonna, people are
Chat,
so.
He's not a real one. He's not a real one.
People are so unfair.
Chat,
I was
he's not a real one, chat.
Having
We know
mental
already.
problems,
Yeah. Oh,
beyond my
okay.
normal mental problems. I just needed a little break. I might go into housing.
Oh, really? You're gonna do how?
Defending landlords.
They need it.
Yeah,
I did
guys, mom and pop landlords.
I did the Graham Stevens podcast. Do you know who that is? He's like a landlord YouTuber.
Oh hell yeah!
And I did his like iced coffee hour, and they brought up like the squatting stuff so much that I was like, I guess I got to look into this. I didn't even realize it was like a big meta in the right, but it is. Everyone is using.
Could you imagine giving people like housing rights, like who need stability and have a roof over their head?
Yeah,
it's horrible.
You know what's really funny though? There's people working outside. You saw them probably. I was talking to them this morning, and I was like, "What's up? Are we finally getting fiber in this goddamn bitch or what?" And he's like, "Fiber." He laughed, and he's like, "No, it's for the construction that's happening over there." And then he said, "They're probably building a homeless shelter," and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." And they were shocked.
He didn't like that.
No, he did not. The dude.
Chat, that's called false consciousness.
The dude that was working for LADWP was like anti-homeless, and he thought like he found, because he's probably looking at my house and he's like, oh yeah, this rich asshole hates the homeless dude. I was like, no, that's awesome. What do you want him to be out the street? Like, great.
Yeah, he thought that.
I don't even think it's I don't even think it's a homeless shelter that they're building. I wish it was. That'd be sick. But
stable housing. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, but housing. I might do housing stuff.
That's good.
Tenant rights. They have right to counsel in New York. It's great. It's good law. Although they wrote in a sunset provision, which is going to have to be dealt with, which is crazy that they put that in the law for the right to counsel for tenants. It's insane.
There's a sunset provision?
Yeah, it's in there.
It's
crazy.
Dude, we are the people that control the levers of power in this country are so unimaginably awful.
Yeah.
It's
they're
like
real evil.
It's like, yeah, we'll give you a right to counsel, but for a little bit. Okay. Oh, you like that? You like that? We'll take it away. I mean, it's just so fucked up. It's just cruel. That's what it is. All right. Anyway, let's finish this and then we'll move on. We can't talk about housing right now because I will always talk about it.
We went back to see Nawara, now 8 months pregnant with her dead husband's child, and in grief, awaiting the arrival of a new life.
يعني يقول لي أنت من بعد حتضيعي حتنكسري. فعلا أنا ضعت وانكسرت.
Remember when Biden put in the expanded child tax credit and bragged about how it lowered child poverty and then let it expire, which forced child poverty up 40% in 1 year? Yeah, that was awesome. What do you mean? Why are you posting Brandon's dubs in here, dude? Those children need to get back to work, big dog. Okay?
Nawara's words,
just like the children in
elegy
Gaza.
of a wife and mother
there might
for
be an
all
address
that's been lost.
Yeah. And doxing me
In
literally
central
moments
Gaza,
after
Israeli
he
forces
showed
hunt
up.
Hamas. They're still launching attacks from tunnels and buildings. And as the war rages on, sickness and hunger haunt.
See, I don't see a single child over here making crypto moves, okay? Where's the Discord servers? Where's the crypto money moves? They're all over here waiting for a handout. That's what
These
Israel's
children
doing.
in central Gaza are queuing for food.
Okay, I should stop
to
making
try and
jokes
feed
though.
entire families.
Well, I'm trying because, like, dude, I'm so, it makes me so mind-numbingly mad. I cover this every single day for the past 7 months, every single day, and it's like it makes me so unimaginably angry. Obviously, it should make anyone unimaginably angry. So. I don't know what else to say, especially because, like, this coverage is happening and it's packaged with Benjamin Netanyahu saying he's going to refuse sanctions. And I don't know. And it's also happening as America, the American Congress, is like immediately passing a massive weapons package to Israel, like a ginormous weapons package, congressionally approved weapons package. And it just, I don't know how we fix this. Okay, I don't know how we fix this issue at all. I don't know what we do. I don't know what
I think the students are showing you what you do.
Well, that
right now,
for
you know?
sure, but it's just like, anyway.
That's good shit though. That
is
doing.
great.
You know what
That
I
is-
mean?
that-
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I know we're gonna talk to them later, but
Yeah, we're gonna talk to them in a little bit.
Week, listless. The UN says less than half the amount of food needed is reaching the population.
We have been coming here for 6 months and we are completely dependent on the food charity. We come here to take food to eat and feed the other children.
In the north, where the threat of famine is most acute, Amjad Khanua, age 3, suffers from kidney disease, exacerbated by malnutrition. His 6-year-old brother Ahmad provides comfort for the youngster. Suad has more than one sick child. Her older boy has suspected cancer and in war-ravaged Gaza can't get the proper treatment. Such are the days and lives of Gaza after 6 months of war. Fergal Keane, BBC News, Jerusalem.
Meanwhile, health and emergency workers in the second biggest city in the Gaza Strip say they've uncovered nearly 200 bodies buried in the courtyard of a hospital. Al Nasser in Khan Yunis had been at the center of an Israeli military operation until 2 weeks ago. The World Health Organization has previously said bodies were buried within hospitals under Israeli siege, but Palestinians have accused Israel.
Yeah, it is wild to like explain that there are reports of almost 200 bodies buried in a hospital courtyard, mass graves, while you still simultaneously have to call it a war, Israel's war on Hamas. Or if you're at least a little bit more woke, I guess, Israel's war on Gaza. And it's like, bro, that's not a war, man. That's an ethnic cleansing campaign. And the way that you're covering it and the way that you have covered it for the past 7 months is going to, I hope, if you have a conscience, come back and haunt you. It should. Okay? It should haunt you forever, for the rest of your life. If there was any karmic justice, you would carry the weight of all of these deaths, no matter where you go, in perpetuity. It should haunt you forever.
Israeli forces of killing some of the victims. The Israeli military said it was checking the reports. Israel accuses Hamas of using medical facilities as command centers. Well, for more on this story, let's speak to our Middle East correspondent, Yolande now. Yolande, first of all, what can you tell us about these reports that the US could put sanctions on one Israeli battalion called Netza Yehuda?
Just one.
Yeah, so this has not been officially announced by the US yet, but just the reports alone have got alarm bells ringing for Israeli leaders. And we've had them coming out saying that this is not fair in a time of war. The Israeli military insisting that this particular unit, a combat unit that's historically mostly operated in the occupied West Bank, acts in accordance with international law. And you have the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that he would act with all his strength to try to stop this from happening. But really what is involved, as far as we understand, is that the US would prevent this particular unit, if plans go ahead, from benefiting from US military assistance, which of course amounts to...
It's one unit, guys. Every time America says like they're going to do something against Israel, it's literally like, yeah, we're going to sanction and seize the bank accounts, or like sanction 6 American Israeli nationals in the West Bank that have like been doing horrifying pogroms, right? And then Israel will be like, no, you're not. And then America will be like, my bad, actually. And then quietly remove even those sanctions. It's like, it's literally, it's nothing. Like even any kind of punishment, any kind of reprimanding that goes in the direction of Israel is a gentle tap on the wrist, okay? And even then Israel's like, nah, that's not how this works. That's not how this is going to work, big dog.
But also, why would it be any different? Like what's happened to make them act any differently in terms, like they're about to pass the $26 billion aid package.
Yeah.
So they're like, being told everything is fine. It's okay. You can do this.
Yeah, that's the problem is that we have allowed our attack dog in the region to go crazy over and over and over again without reining them in. Why should they learn a different lesson? That's it. We don't teach them a different lesson. We just keep giving them more weapons to do the genocide with, while simultaneously being like, I'm a little upset about the situation. And Americans across the board are just like so oblivious to it, except for the youth. And what is happening to the youth as a consequence of their acknowledgement of Israel's ethnic cleansing? Well, they're getting arrested. It's great. It's wonderful, which is the next topic that we're going to talk about once I'm done with this video.
Billions of dollars given every year to Israel. Now, there is existing US legislation that stops foreign military units which are found to have committed human rights violations from receiving US military aid. And there's been a review that's been carried out, and that the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been looking at the results in the past few days to see how military units in Israel comply. Now, this particular unit that we know of, it's come up a lot in the news in the past. It's a unit that is made up mostly of ultra-Orthodox Jewish men, and it was originally designed to bring more religious men into the army, because many of them don't have to, because of there have been exemptions that have been in the past for religious men serving in the Israeli military. So it is tended, as I said, to work in the occupied West Bank. One of the big cases that was really highlighted a couple of years ago was when it was involved in setting up a military checkpoint not far from Ramallah. There was a Palestinian American man close to 80 who was detained. He was bound and gagged and found dead by people from his village later. And there was a big investigation into what exactly had happened here, with the US really pushing for that because of his US citizenship. In the end, the Israeli military did not find grounds for a criminal investigation. There were some officers who were reprimanded, but there's continued to be pressure around that case that has come up in Washington.
And Yolande, just briefly looking at the situation in Gaza and those reports of bodies being found around the Nasser hospital, what is the reaction to those developments?
It's always the same. It's always literally the same. Okay, it never changes. is always the same. Oh, we investigated ourselves. We found no wrongdoing. And then America goes, oh, yeah, there's no need for a criminal investigation. They got this. Maybe they'll punish one guy, one like 18-year-old brigadier general or whatever the fuck, and then they'll move on.
Give him desk duty.
Dude, I don't understand why Israel thinks that these kinds of actions are not being seen, being broadly viewed by the rest of the world as unconscionable. I do not understand how anyone can still tie Israel's incredibly gross, violent, genocidal actions to the religion of Judaism. I don't understand how you can keep doing that. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. The fact that this is still ongoing and they're still doing propaganda like it's, I don't know, like it's 2008, you know, and everything is all right. And Israel's the most powerful, most moral army. And that, yeah, Israel actually is doing this for Judaism, and it defends all Jews across the world unconditionally, while simultaneously every single action being portrayed from that lens is creating genuine anti-Semitism. It is making the world less safe for Jewish people. It's making Jews in Israel less safe across the board, and it's making Jews all around the world less safe. Israel's actions are unironically so harmful. But there's nothing I can say that will change that reality. No one who's been conditioned into thinking that, like, no, Israel's doing the right thing here for decades, and especially even now, it's just a continuation of the right things that they were doing, is ever going to see what I have to say and go, you know what, maybe there's some truth to this. Like, we got to change some stuff. It sucks.
So, I mean, really what's happened in the past few weeks since Israeli forces pulled out of Khan Yunis, this big city in the south of the Gaza Strip, people have been going back trying to find about 2,000 people who are thought to be missing, mostly under the rubble. And they have been searching particularly in the grounds of the Nasser hospital, the main hospital there. We have heard of about 50 or so bodies being found in the past day or so in an open grave there. There have been some delays in excavating the grounds because of the lack of heavy machinery. And this adds to further numbers that have been found there previously. There are now close to 200 bodies that have been found. Of course, identification is proving very difficult, and we're hearing from local people that there were elderly and also children among those who were found dead, as well as many young men. The Israeli military said that it acted in a precise and limited operation when it went into the Nasser hospital, said that it was acting against Palestinian gunmen that were using the site, that there were people based there, that the patients, the doctors, the displaced people were being used as a human shield. There were efforts to evacuate people from that site at the time. We're not clear if these are people, if they're bodies that were covered from the hospital itself and then buried in this grave, or if they also come from the surrounding area.
Thank you
the Israeli
very
military,
much.
as you said, it's looking into these reports.
Thank
they're
you very
looking
much.
into it, dude. They're looking into it.
That's the BBC's Yolande Nell in Jerusalem there.
I thought
Okay.
Israel didn't bomb hospitals, though.
Yeah, no, Israel would never bomb a hospital. Remember El Ahli,
Right.
a hospital that they had like literally bombed 2 days prior to the courtyard explosion? That definitely could not have been Israel. I mean, come on, guys. Remember how much we talked about that back then?
Yeah, for a
I felt
whole
like I
week.
was losing my goddamn mind. I was like, anyone who's any experience with the way Israel conducts its affairs in the Gaza Strip or just across the board, I feel like if you weren't paying attention to this maybe before like October 7, you could arrive at the conclusion that like maybe this was an explosion, and who knows, like, oh, why are you so quick to point the finger of blame at Israel, even though they lied and said that they weren't doing airstrikes on that location at the time? Anyone who had any knowledge of what Israel does was looking at it and going, are you serious? Even if this was a Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket that exploded on the courtyard, even if that was the case, okay, which I'm not saying it was still to this day, even if that was the case, the argument is so silly. It's like, no, only Israel gets to kill Palestinians unconditionally and blow up hospitals. Like what's the argument there? Like that all of Israel's explosions and strikes directly and sieges on hospitals are totally valid? It's actually the Palestinian Islamic Jihad that is killing Palestinians mercilessly? Is that what it is? Is that what the argument is? When Israel does it, it's good. It's only bad when it's not Israel. It's just so stupid. Such an idiotic assessment.
It was just an example. I mean, I think it was just an example of how they move the goalposts and sort of change the narrative constantly. Like that was very close to October 7th.
Yeah.
And there was like a lot of scrutiny in that moment on everything that was happening there. And so I think they wanted to muddle the conversation. And obviously it changed from the IDF would never bomb a hospital. We would never do this, ABC. And then it just became, oh, Hamas is in every single hospital and every, oh my God, in every, you're going to get me in trouble.
I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Oh my God.
I watched this video.
I texted you about this.
You texted me about this video, and we were like, oh, I'm so sad. Such a sad thing to happen. I totally don't think it's very funny. I would never say.
Someone put that music like the.
To be honest, I almost feel like this one's fake because there's such a non-reaction on part of the filmer. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
They just said many such cases and then they left.
Yeah, he apparently survived. Oh.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's news.
there's this. How is he gonna lose 1v1 to an inanimate object? Yeah, I don't know how the fuck that happens.